Hi, hi, hi. JL,
Salut, salut.
salut. Ah, mais oui, c'est vrai. Tu peux parler français. C'est trop cool.
Oui, aussi.
Yes. T'es où là?
À Barcelone, j'habite à Barcelone.
Ok,
On se voit
top.
partout, mais j'habite à Barcelone.
J'adore. Ok. Tout, 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 tout. Tout, tout, tout. Hey there.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. What are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Same. Great. Just coming back from a university to give a workshop there. In Malaysia, so it was super nice. Wow, 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 too much I note taker. What?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yes, okay, okay. I will put just a message, and usually we're starting in like 5 minutes. We are waiting for people. Just coming. Tuk, tuk, tuk. I will put a message. Where are you based? In Turkey?
I'm in Turkey, yes. So it's 6 p.m. for me right now.
Okay, cool, 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 cool.
Where are you based? Like, where's like everyone from? It's, I think, remote. So is there like I think this is the best time, like people in the US, like Europe, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Asia to connect. But is there like a common place people are from, or it's more like all over the world?
Um, so more like South America than Asia and Africa. So every continent, to be honest,
Right.
Europe as well. But the most represented country, continent, sorry, is South America. Yeah,
Okay, so it's early morning for most people.
yeah, exactly. Oh yes, it's midnight
And
in
in Seoul, oh, in midnight in Seoul. Yes, it's a bit late in Seoul. I feel like it works best for me because like Istanbul's time is like always best when you try to get everyone together. If I only talk with people in the US or like South America, it's always late for me. But then this time is like perfect.
I think so. It was the best time for not for everyone, but the best time to be fair, to allow people to join the court. Yes.
Exactly. And yes, I was actually in Seoul in March and it was super lovely. I definitely want to come again. And yeah, it's nice to be on here. Like it's been a while since doing like in real life workshops. I think there was one in the summer, but I'm happy to like be here to do it online. I hope everything will work out. Um, but yeah, it's nice to like do workshops like in real life is nice, but also getting online because you see like everyone from every country. And yes, I hope it's been a nice week. I'm pretty sure like it was very fun with both Austin and Kevin. And hopefully like this will be like the last workshop of the series and I can like maybe answer some questions, like do the workshop and then see anything else you have.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Austin and Kevin, doing an amazing job for onboarding our woman. So yeah, we are looking forward to see everything about front end side. And before starting, I would like to ask you how you get into crypto and Web3 space, how you enter.
Yes, for sure. I'm happy to like give a quick background information. So I come from a very traditional tech background. I studied computer science, became a software engineer, and then I actually think I got into crypto very late. I was working in the networking space. I was specifically working in technical sales, like doing a lot of networking scripts. So like yeah, working on like Ansible scripts and like not really in the crypto world at all. that was nice. But then COVID happened, and then when COVID happened, I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
So when I had a lot of time, I had just moved back to Istanbul. I was living in Amsterdam at the time, and then I just moved back to Istanbul, and we had a lot of lockdowns. So I had like so much time, like nothing to do. Like my job was nice. Like I actually really like the networking side. It's pretty interesting, especially network automation. But then when I had a lot of time, I was like, and crypto was becoming popular in Turkey because before then, like Turkey didn't really like have many centralized exchanges or like it was kind of hard to like get into crypto unless like you knew about crypto. So I used to see like a lot of banners of like centralized exchange, like at the rare moments when I could leave the house.
Okay.
Um, and then it was like, okay, like let me buy some like cryptocurrencies. And then I got into it, and it was the worst time possible because Ethereum was at like $4,000 and like all the other coins were like much higher. But it made me like very interested. I'm like, why is there like so many different currencies? Like, why is there so many different options? What is actually this Ethereum thing? So, yeah, I think like it's a common path. Like people come in, like try to like buy something, lose something, but then become really interested. And then I got like very interested. I was like, oh, I had no idea like this was what Ethereum was. I started a blog, and then like after 8 months of like blogging and like writing about like more how to get started as a developer, I fully transitioned, and it's been almost 3 years now. So
Wow.
so it was like a very yeah, it's been a while. I think 2.5, almost 3 years. But it's been very nice. Like I I always say like I feel like from the outside it looks like a very scary like it looks, oh, what is this Ethereum thing? What is this like crypto stuff? But then once you start to learn about it and you meet like so many interesting people, it's just like hooks you on. So I feel it very hard to leave. Like I can't see myself working in another sector.
Great. Really inspiring. And by curiosity, which kind of application are you testing first when you enter in crypto?
Yeah, so actually, it was a few people's content, like 3 people, which I'm super thankful for, which is Austin, Nader, and Patrick's content. So I remember watching like Nader's very popular video on YouTube. Like he has like deploying your first smart contract on Ethereum or like creating like a small application around that. And then I did the speedrun Ethereum, and then I was like, oh, okay, like this is now I understand. And then I did speedrun Ethereum, and then I met like Austin through there. I met like I learned about Patrick's 32-hour course. He had that. So those were like the first places which I started. I think they're still like the top places to start, but there's like a lot more content because now there's like when I got started, it was only crypto zombies, but now there's like Node Guardians. There are like other tools as well, which is really nice and more updated. But those people were like the like still my favorite resources and people. So it's been yeah, I still really grateful for that.
Okay. Thank you for your feedback. It's
I see a
important for
question.
me. Oh,
I see some, yeah, it's nice to have the chat too. Yeah, for my network automation work, it was really just like creating networks for large, like for deciding on the number of VPNs, like sub networks. Like it wasn't like it was actually very fun for me. But now that I think back, it was maybe like you get like in a very niche area and then it becomes fun. Also, not many people were using network automation tools like Ansible. It was more manually configured. So it was nice to see, oh, like you can actually do this with a script. So that's kind of the work which we were doing there.
okay. Thank you. I think we can start. Yes. Yes, it's 8. So let's start. Don't hesitate if you have any question to put it on the chat related to her career or to the workshop. Yeah, let's go.
For sure. Okay, we can start. Before starting, can we like see like if anyone has like some front end experience, can they like raise their hand from the React button or like we will do like a beginner workshop, but just to get an idea, and then yeah, if anyone has worked on like some front end development before. Okay, we have
Yes,
some hands.
like not too much people because everyone is transitioning like on the marketing side to the developer side. So I think so that's why don't too much people already touch to front end side.
Perfect. That's perfectly okay. We're going to do like a begin, like we're going to like show everything. So no worries at all. Okay, I can get started. Let me share my screen. And if anyone has any questions, you can drop them to the chat below. I'll try to follow that as well. Or you can also just like unmute, like maybe we can leave the questions to, like if you drop it in the chat, I think it would be better. And then we can like take voice questions as well. So it's going to be like a pretty flexible workshop. Just give me a moment to share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see. One moment, so sorry. Okay, so I hope my screen is available now.
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is, I know that Austin and Kevin did it before. I actually have it downloaded just before this call, but I just want to like quickly run through like setting up the stack again, because it will take me like less than 2 minutes. And I think it's always nice to start from a base project when I have like no code at all. So all I do is, this is going to be repeat, so I'm going through it a bit faster. But all I do is I come here to the Scaffolded repo, and we're going to be using Scaffolded as well. And I'm just going to go here to my command line, and I'll just like start a new project from scratch. And then yes, it will take not so much time. My internet is quite okay. And let's call it H.E.R. We're not going to be touching the front end piece. If we have time, we can deploy a second contract, because that was something which I had difficulty before. But we're going to be mainly focusing on the front end piece. But I think it once we finish the front end, we can definitely deploy a new contract, because when I first started, I got quite confused on how to add 2 or multiple smart contracts to my same project. So I feel like that can be a nice addition to touch on. Now, while that is loading, what we're going to be using and what Scaffolded uses is actually Daisy UI. So it's a pre-built Tailwind CSS components, and what we're going to do is directly just pull the components from Daisy. So it's going to make our life a lot easier. You can see, like, you can come to the Daisy UI documentation, and you can see all like the different components available. So like avatar, artboard, we're going to be like using a checkbox, or a card is one which I usually use. But just to say, like, all the links which I'll be going through is also found on the page over here. Perfect. I hope this is loaded. Okay, this is almost loaded. This is going to take just a very few minutes. And then what I'm going to do is, I think Austin probably used Cursor. I'll be using, like, I have my VS Code over here. I use Git Copilot. I use Cursor a lot too sometimes, but I feel like, especially when we're going through like different like when we're going to show like a few things, it's nice to show from VS Code. Otherwise, it can get too much of the AI as well. Okay, perfect. So this is loaded. What I'm going to do is, as you can see, just go into the repo. So this is the project which we just made. I called it H.E.R. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a yarn chain to start my local chain. Because we choose Hardhat, it will start my Hardhat developer environment. And then I'm going to do a yarn deploy. This will deploy my smart contract. Currently, it's only the Your contract, smart contract available, which is a default smart contract. And then I'm going to do a yarn start, which will start my application on my browser. And let's come here. Let's open the browser, localhost. This takes a few moments to load when you first load it. The components are loading. Okay, perfect. So this is our base scaffold ETH. I didn't do anything, but I have out of the box a smart contract, which I just deployed a few moments ago. It's a greeting smart contract, and I have the front end page. Now, I know Austin and Kevin were making some changes to the smart contract and integrating like the graph. What we'll be focusing on today is the home page. So this page, we're going to completely erase it and make something from start. Okay, let's open. Okay, so is this size good? Shall I zoom a bit? This is better, I guess. I think there's like, I can't really see the chat right now, but if there's questions, like you can also just, I think there was a notification on my chat, but it disappeared.
That's
So,
fine.
okay, I will definitely like look at the questions a bit later because they don't pop on my screen. But so what we are going to focus on today is under the packages, we'll be working in the Next.js folder. As I said, like Austin probably worked in the hard hat folder, and and then this is where like the contracts live. So the Next.js is where our front end, our development application will be, like our application is. Okay, so I go over here. Now you might be like, okay, what is this contracts thing? By the way, just to give you an overview as well, this is what happens when we do a yarn deploy. It automatically deployed the contracts and it added the ABI here. So this is was like, you might be like, why is there like it shows like the files which are not uploaded to Git. And that's the reason why, because when I do a yarn deploy, it creates this folder, which has the ABI of the contract we just deployed. Okay, so I'm going to go to the app. I'm under packages, Next.js, app, and then page. This is our main page, which you see over here. This is the exact page. Oh, I actually got the chat. I just see the chat right now. Yes, definitely can use the same repo. I just cloned the same repo. All I did was go to scaffolding.io. Actually, I can like drop this link over here. It's the same link, which you already have. I created a new project for a new day. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everything and let's start from 0. Okay, so you might be like, okay, what did you do? Where did you delete? I deleted like everything. The header, these are defined in the layout. So these are actually available and we can look into that. So this is actually the layout.tsx, which has like this is where, the header and the metadata is defined. So that's actually there. But now what we're going to do here is let's just say hello. And I have auto indent on save, so that's why when I directly save, it auto indents. So as you can see, hello, but this is obviously like not a nice way to have hello or like any kind of text there. So we're going to be working on our front end. And what we're going to do is a basic card, which interacts with our smart contract. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I want to do actually is go to the Daisy UI documentation, and I want to add a card here, or even before adding a card, do I have this here? Okay, let's actually like add just a div for this one because I really don't like the way this looks. And I'll make it like a class name, and I'll just like flex to make it in the center, and then I'll make it items center. I'll just close the div, and then I'll put hello there. This should hopefully, oh, not be. Okay, so let's go back to our app. Okay, do I need to do like text? I think I need to do text center. Do I do something wrong? Right here. Maybe let's put this in a tag as well. That was quite good. Okay, so I added a tag over here. So this, I added item center, which I think was wrong, as you can see, but I needed to have a text center to actually like center it. And so this is just like, instead of this, let's just say hello. Now, hello obviously doesn't make any sense. So what we want to do is we want to add like a small card, which has our interaction with our smart contract. So as I said, all I'm doing is going to Daisy UI, and let me pop the link here. Okay, I got it. So I go over here. You can choose any kind of component you want. What I'll be using today is the cards component. I think this is like a quite nice component to kind of show what it is. And it has this like shoe design, a Nike shoe, and then like some text here, and then a button, which doesn't do anything, but in our case, we'll add the functionality so that the button does. Now, all I do is I go to the card, the preview is here, and then I can copy this JSX component. I just copy this, nothing else, and then we'll edit it on our application. So I add here, I probably need to do item center, and then let's make like so that there's some space. So I hope to see the card on my main application. Okay, as you can see, we can see the card. I think I'm missing something with the, do we need like flex column to add it in a column? Okay, so oh yeah, I was missing like the flex column. So to add it in the center of the column, but all I did was I went to Daisy UI, I got the card component, and then I added it to my text. Like I basically deleted everything. And one tip when you're using like any kind of code editor is I have Prettier installed. So basically it tells me like and linter installed. So it tells me like which text I'm not using. So this is like you can see that these are like what is it called? Like not the it's not the same as the use account here because I'm not using the bug and icon. So it shows me on my code that I'm actually not using it. So for best practice, I would actually like be deleting this because they are basically like codes, like lines of code, which I'm not using. So I just delete this, blah, blah, blah. I delete this. Oops, I deleted something which I actually needed as well. The next, my code editor will automatically tell me that. But yeah, so it also has this line, which I'm not using. So you can see that the tone is different. So I'm going to delete this as well. We're going to add it a bit later, but I just kind of wanted to show you, like, let's just focus on the front end for now. And then this is not there. Okay. So all I have is this app where I have like this shoe. And then I obviously want to change this. So what I'm going to do is let's remove the image. I think this will be not needed. And then, okay, so we just have like the shoes in the card. So let's focus on our smart contract now. The smart contract is a greeting smart contract. So what we'll do is we'll make it so that you can kind of see the details of the smart contract and the details of the account which you're connected to. Now, Scaffold gives out of like, let's say my account. And when I mean account, I actually mean wallet. So like, let's actually call it wallet. My wallet details. And then let's show over here the address. And then let's delete this for now, or let's leave that for now. Or and by the way, this is also available in the Notion document. I'm making a few changes since we're doing it live, but you can definitely like look over there afterwards to find another example. I think it's nice to like do something different when we're live, but there is a working example over there too. Okay, so what I want to show over here is now when I go back to my application, when I go to home, perfect. You should see my my wallet details, address, and balance. And let's actually add some margin to the top because this is kind of disturbing me. So let's add some margin top 5 to add like the margin here because I didn't really like that it was very next to each other. So what I want to see over here next is I want to see the address and then the balance. So what I can do is I will have to rebring what I actually deleted, but I wanted to show like where you can get that. So we're going to use WAGME to get the connected address details. And you might be like, okay, where can I go to find this information? I would direct you to the Scaffold 2 documentation. We have examples of all the components you can use, and we have out-of-the-box components like the address one. So what you can use is you can directly pull on this address component, and then like let's actually show this as doing it. I added here. Oops, not here. Sorry, the import statement here, and then let's just copy this address, and then we'll get our own wallet address as well. But I added here. Oops, not here. I added here, and then I will actually delete. Okay, perfect. So when I go back, you know what? Let's move this here. Or okay. I actually want to move my code to the middle. Okay. So now what I have is I actually directly have this address avatar. And this address avatar is a pre-coded address, which we added here. So you can see that all I did was I called this address component. It's out of the box component, and I added it there. Now you might be like, okay, like how do I get my address? Well, that's exactly what we will do next is we need to import the use account from WAGMI. And let me do that. I can actually just write it here, and then it will tell me to import that. So what I do is I need to define a new const. And then, oh, this actually directly gives me, this is wrong, this is not correct, but I'll call it address. Let's call it connected for ease of use, and I'll call use account. I believe this should work. And then, oh, it directly imported it as well. I didn't realize it directly imported it, but what we're going to do is we just got like a use account from WAGMI, and this is our connected address. So if you are connected to it with an address, and I believe it's the burner wallet right now. Yes, it's the burner wallet. So this address is our connected address, which we get from WAGMI use account. And instead of like displaying this one, I want to display the address which we have. But one other catch here, or something important that I want to focus, is this address component is very, very powerful. Because if you directly add like the address here, this is how I add it will just show like this. So this is like when you see the different addresses, obviously it's very nice to have this view with the avatar and your ENS if available instead of this one. So that's where the address component comes in very handy. So instead of having my connected address here, I'll just add it to the address component inside here. And then this should give me a lot nicer view. There you go. So the address component is directly available in Scaffold. All I did was I kind of pulled that component and I used it for our app. And one other thing, which let's just showcase from the address, is actually how you can get the balance as well. And I'll just show here. So the balance component, this gives you the balance of the address. So you can see, okay, like how much does this have? You know, like in your application, you probably want to show like the connected address and the balance that they have. It just makes like the user experience nicer, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I just import the balance component. So it's going to be quite similar. Like the balance component just takes the address in. So I'll just write that, and then my code editor will tell me that I actually need the balance component. Balance. Oops. I think there's like some here. Okay. I think my editor is not liking me today and it's making me. Perfect. Oh, perfect. So I'll actually remove. Let's cut this and put this here. Save. Okay, perfect. So now this should give me the balance of the comment of the address that we're connected to. There you go. It's actually in the middle, which is not nice, but we'll be focusing on like how do we? No, we will actually be removing that balance. I actually wanted to just show that because it's available, but now I kind of want to move on to the contract interactions because that's a bit of the cooler side. So you can see like you also have the address input, like let's say you want the person to input an address if you're making like a send money application or anything similar. This is like a small GIF which shows you how that works. But perfect. So these components are directly out of the box, ready for your use. You can directly go there, like start building with Scaffold on the component side. And then one other thing which I want to pull it over here is the interacting with your smart contract piece. And I feel like maybe we can quickly deploy a new contract to show the different commands available, because if I just follow the docs, it's like, or we can follow the docs for now, and then we'll make like a new contract so then there's a bit difference between the docs, because I don't want to just like copy paste from the docs, but show a bit of the different usage. So for now, like all I'm going to do is read from the contract, and then we'll quickly deploy a new smart contract, which we'll be interacting with. So I come over here, the use scaffold read contract hook is directly available, and I pull that here. I can see some questions there. So WAGMI what is WAGMI? So WAGMI is a library for React hooks, and let me send the link, which, yes, we're all going to make it. So it's, oh, okay, it was a joke. I thought, so basically, yeah, WAGMI is also, we're going to make it, but it is a library for directly accessing Ethereum with React hooks. So it makes it easy to connect to the blockchain and like get some data. And you can see over the documentation, it's very well documented, and Scaffold Lead uses WAGMI under the hood. Okay, so I'm going to use Scaffold Read contract hook to read from the contract because I don't have a way to access my smart contract at the moment. Like I have this
You can
application.
explain what is a hook as well.
Yes, for sure. So hooks basically allow you to directly like you can think of them as APIs, like gateway, like ways to talk to your application. So it talks to Ethereum and then it gets data from Ethereum and then it gives it to your application. So that's kind of the way you can use it. So when you use the use account hook, it directly like connects to the Ethereum blockchain, it gets like the data you need, and then it provides it to you. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the balance because this doesn't look nice. And we have the address. And what I want to do is, as I mentioned, I want to use scaffold read contract. So you can see like this is a read hook, which means you can only read the data that's available. You won't be able to edit or like change it. So we will also be using the write hook, which allows us to do that. So it's only for your read-only functions in your smart contract. So basically what happens is I have my Ethereum smart contract, I deploy it to the blockchain. In this case, it's my local development environment. And then I want some way to access that environment and get the data to my application. So that's exactly where this use scaffold read contract hook comes in. I'm like, okay, like go to the blockchain, get this information and give it to me. Okay, so it's giving me an error because it's not imported yet. So I'm going to quickly import the use scaffold read hook. Perfect. Let's delete the balance because I don't like stuff which I don't use to be on there. Oops. It's going to be called total counter. That's totally fine by me. Let's make like a new counter. Oh, it did it for me. So all I'm doing is total counter. So I call this the data that's returned, total counter. I'm not sure where this says on it. Okay, I think I'm not sure why that was like warning and it just went away. But basically what I'm doing is I'm saying go to your contract, get the function name, use greeting counter. And then what does this do? Does it take an argument? Let's look at our smart contract. Smart hat, contracts. And we are going to call use greeting counter. Is that user greeting counter? Sorry, let's just search for this. Okay, so as you can see, this actually takes a message.sender. So it has an address there. So I'm asking the counter for this user. I actually thought that this was empty. So it's good that we learned what the arguments are, but it doesn't, like your hook doesn't always have to have an argument. It depends. Like if the function has an argument, you can pass it directly here. So I'll get the total counter and I'll display it counter and then just the counter value over there. So this should work. And I believe I counted 0, for example, to start with. Okay, it's not displaying. I actually know the error, but I kind of want to show that the counter works first. So I'm going to grab some funds from the faucet because this is a burner wallet. I have my local environment. This is not real money. It's all on hard hats. And then my counter is 1. I think I can update this. I paste this address. I read from the counter. It's 0. Can we increment? Okay, I think we need to set a greeting, which will increment the counter. Let's call it hello Friday. It's actually like, if it was October 3rd, we could have said it's October 3rd. The Mean Girls joke. But perfect. Okay, now our counter is 1. So this is the address, which has the counter as 1, and I want to display this. So I go over here. The argument is going to be my own address. And you can actually get this from use account. I'll directly post it here. And then now my counter should be 1, but it's actually not going to be displayed. And I'll show you why exactly. Okay, so it's not displayed because I actually need to do a .toString to get this value from what I remember. Hopefully this will work. So it doesn't return, like the integer is not displayed, so I need to do a .toString. And I remember the first time I had this error, it took me a very long time to remember. But basically, you need to convert it to a string so that it's displayed on your application. And the question marks means that if it's 0, like you don't, but if it's not 0, you can convert it to a string. So perfect. This is kind of the way which we were able to like read from your contract. Let's also like read the greeting. Right now we changed the greeting. So like let's make a new contract, like a new, what do you call it? Like a new conf called data my greeting. And then this will be your contract. And then this will be called greeting. We can directly read the string. And then this has no arguments. So do I delete this or do I make it 0? Okay, I think I delete this. And then let's call this, okay, this is perfect. Hopefully this will display greeting. So what we did was, because this does not have any arguments, we just deleted the arguments from the hook. And then it just reads from our contract and the function name is greeting. Hello, Friday. Perfect. So as you can see, this kind of displays like what's happening in our contract. So you can directly pull in that and display it on your front end. Now, one thing which I do want to show is actually also how you can write to it. So like, let's say I want to like set the greeting there. So how do you do that? Or let's quickly like deploy one more smart contract. So then you can see like both how there's 2 smart contracts and you can edit them and pull them. And it will just take a few moments to quickly deploy a new smart contract because I think that's also quite important. So I have over here the your contract.stall. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to call it counter. I always go for counter, which is always the easiest to work through. Counter. And then all this is deleted. So I actually know how the counter smart contract works, but instead of like directly writing it, what you can do is, and what I always recommend to do, is you can go to Solidity by example. And this gives you like quite a few handy stuff to use out of the box. And I think it was in the first step. Counter. Okay. Yes, in first step. So this is a very basic counter smart contract. It just holds like a count, and then you can use the get function to get like what the count is. It has an inc, which means to increment it by 1, and then dec to decrement it by 1. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay. Oops, so I did this not autosave. Okay, that's weird. So my code editor should auto format, but it did not. But that's okay. So, oops, I think there's some chat over there, but let's quickly do this and then I'll quickly check the chat as well. So what I did was I added a new smart contract. So I just did like a counter.sol. I copied the information from like, well, you can actually write it yourself too, but let's just delete the comments for ease of understanding. It's a very basic smart contract. Define the Solidity version. It imports hard hat. I don't think I need this too. So it's a very basic, I can get it here. Yes, it's a very basic Solidity smart contract. It's a counter application, which allows you to increment and decrement a counter, which we define. So, okay, here's the counter. Now what we need to do to deploy this, and I'm sure you might remember from the days before, is you need to define it in your deployment script. So I'll go over here. It should be this one, await.deploy. These are basically like this, this prints it on your console, so that's why you need to re-get it, but I think this should be enough to get it. And then let's do counter. And then there, it takes no arguments. So as you can see, when you come over here, like I counter, like it doesn't take any arguments when you set it up. So I can directly delete this. So I hope this will deploy now 2 smart contracts. When you make changes to your Solidity smart contract, you need to redeploy it. Otherwise, it will not be deployed. I come over here. I come to my chain is up. I do a yarn deploy, which will redeploy both my smart contracts. Okay, awesome. Hopefully now we have 2 smart contracts. And when I go over here, yes, now we have two smart contracts. Now, I think this is quite important because you probably like when you get to doing more apps, like you will have like contracts which you will read from. So this kind of shows you like, you have like the counter smart contract and then your contract here. Let's see if this works actually. Let's increment. Okay, counter is 1. Let's increment again. Let's increment again. And then let's decrement. So as you can see, this works. It's a basic smart contract counter. And all it does is it gets you like the count of the value you're holding. Okay, so let's also add that to our application, right? Now we have two smart contracts. We have counter.sol and then your contract.sol. So here, 2 of them. And then in order to deploy these smart contracts, we added it to our deployment script. So this is just probably a repeat from the days before, but I'm not sure if you had the chance to like see how 2 smart contracts work. So hopefully like we'll kind of cover that today. So, okay, now I want to delete this count, like the previous counter we had on the other smart contract for kind of seeing how they work, like the different smart contracts are available. All I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. This is the read hook, and I'm going to call this my counter. And then this reads from the counter smart contract, and I think it's count. And then I want to display that here. Perfect. This is great. Let's remove the address. You don't need it into details. My contract details. And the counter, the same problem. We need to convert it to a string. Okay, perfect. So this is pretty cool. Like you can do like a lot of editing over here as well. So you can open like Tailwind. Let me open here over Tailwind CSS. So you can go over to the docs to kind of see, or I think you can directly go to components actually. I'm not the. Where do I see the details? Okay, so you can see the page. Let's go here just for details. So the UI kit. I'm actually not sure where you can get access. So let me see this afterwards as well, but you can basically, am I at the wrong place? So you can use the Tailwind CSS header. So it basically gives you like different overviews. I couldn't exactly find the place of the documentation details. So this just gives you like, this wasn't what I was looking for, to be honest, but this just gives you a preview of what you can find. But you can basically look at what the different like, how can I say, like the details, like the differences you can make to the text. For example, you can make it bold, you can add like some margin in between. So there's a documentation on that, and I'll try to find it when we're also asking questions. But that will make it like easier. For example, you can say like last name and then bold and make this bold. Am I doing it wrong? Do I need to? Oops, I think I need to make it a div. As a text bold. Okay, so I think I'm doing something card title. We can look into it a bit. Oh, perfect. Is that? I will be checking that in a bit. But first, I also, before we end up time, I just want to show how you can add the button to increment it. And then afterwards, like we'll quickly like focus on these details. But I just want to make sure I have time to show that to you guys as well. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to create a very basic small button, which allows us to increment our counter because we have the counter here. And then you have to increment it, you have to go to the debug contracts and then click increment, which is not the best experience. Like you probably don't want to do that. You want to have it here on your card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over here and I need to add the logic to like click a button, and then it should call the function in our smart contract, which is the increment function, and then it will automatically increment our smart contract and then show the new counter on the table. Okay, so for that, I'm going back to the Scaffold docs over here, the docs. Now we're going to be focusing on the right hook. So before, all I did was I copied our read hook and I did it for the same two smart contracts we have. But now we need to move on to the right hook. So I go over here, I paste this. Now we're going to be using counter because that's our new smart contract. And this is giving an error because we haven't imported it. So quickly import the hooks. Now we have the right hook. And then it's like not bold, like it's the transparency is low because we haven't used it yet. And I'll directly show how we can use it as well. Just gonna go over here to I think we actually defined it. Okay, I think my editor is slow today, but there is actually no error. I think it was slow to recognize that we added it. I'm going to go back here. So Scaffold 2 documentation actually directly gives you the code sample. So it's actually a button which sets the greeting, but we're going to make a few changes. So I'll copy the code and then let's make the changes on our code editor. So just below my contract, let's add this. Okay, automatically edited. So the function name is actually going to be ink, right? Let's just double check. I'm going to my counter. Yes, so it's called ink. So I just go that, I use that. There is no arguments. It takes no arguments, but if it did, you can directly add it here. And the value is, do you want to send some money while making the transaction? So we won't be. So it'll be empty. You just need to pay for gas. Error incrementing. And then let's call this, let's make it non-caps. Okay, hopefully this will work. If not, we'll have 14 minutes to debug. But I just added a button. It's actually like quite nice. Let's see, transaction. Okay, perfect. 4. So this was just like the very small button, which we directly added from the docs. And then you can increment as much as you want. It takes a bit of time, but you can see that the change is reflected over here. So one other thing I want to do is let's just quickly copy this button. And then let's add like a decrement counter. Error decrementing. We can make it like go down. So I'll just make it go down to like 1. And then you probably want to see your, what do you say, address details. So I'll quickly like rebring our address details. Let's like remove this. Let's remove the greeting. Oh, wow. Like this directly showed me. This is correct. This is exactly what I wanted. Or actually, it's not what I wanted because it will give me the connected addresses typed. So it's not going to use the scaffold components. And I'll just quickly change that, but I want to show how it looks like before. Why is this not showing? Connected address. I think it's a bit slow to react, but it shows here. Okay, but as I said, this is not what I wanted. What I wanted was address. Oops, what did I do? Actually did it correctly. Okay, that's okay. Is it like this? Just the address component, the address is equal to this, da da da. Perfect. So because this does not have an avatar, it's not displaying, but as you said, like if you go over here to the scaffold docs and you're like, okay, I want like an avatar. For example, this is like, I guess this is Austin's address, so I can directly copy this and I can add it here. So then it will display the avatar, just to show one more time. As you can see, the avatar, but because like our connected address is this burner wallet, which does not have avatar, it's not displaying. But yeah, so this is kind of like the way of using the scaffold to hooks to directly make some edits to your front end. The example which you have on the Notion page does this as well. And quickly going to run through like the examples we have over here. And yeah, so this gives you like a good, what do you say, like a good way to have all the links together, all the different ways you can use the hooks there. So like, as we mentioned, we went through the address component, we went through the balance component. But if you said like, if you want, only people who pay a certain money can increment the counter, you directly have this ether inputs component as well. So it directly translates the amount to USD. Or you can have like other different blocky avatar component, like the avatar. If you have like an ENS, which is attached to your avatar, you can directly display that. And then we went through the use scaffold read hooks. And then we also went to the use scaffold write hook. But let's say like you want to watch events, right? Like events are basically actions which can be sent by a contract after certain things perform. We don't have an event in our counter smart contract, but there is actually like, I believe a few events in your contract. Yes. So once there's a greeting that is changed, it can directly send an event. It can be like, hey, like this greeting has been changed by this address and the new greeting is this. So you can like send you can send messages after certain actions happened. So they're basically a way to like log statements, which the contract is listening to. And then in scaffold leads, you can directly be like, I want to watch the events, and every time there's like an event change, like there's an event that is sent, you can directly add it there. Or you can display like the event history. The use scaffold contract also gives you some way to interact with the smart contract, etc. So it's pretty cool. You can also interact with external smart contract, like the DAI smart contract, if you want to pull in some money for your funds. And then, I think this, like the hook segment is very helpful. You can directly like copy paste the information you kind of want to do. And then you have over here, once again, the H.E.R documentation. This is what we went to. We just looked at the components. We didn't really like get into so much details, but we took the cards component, but you have the avatar. When I build like an application, I usually go through like, you can have like a button navigation, which is like this. You can have like different error message, chat bubbles, etc. directly from here. And then you have the Tailwind CSS, which I could not exactly find where you can get is it the pages? No, this is not what I'm looking for. Headers, I believe. It's here. Well, you do have like the information here, but I think there's a different place which you can browse the sections. But I'll try to find that later and then send that so you can directly use it there. But this is kind of the overview of how you can edit your smart contract. I know we don't have a lot of time yet, so I do want to see if anyone has any questions. Let me check the chat over here to see if there were some questions which were not answered. I see it's
What I have
mostly AIs.
yes, a bit yes, a bit of AI, but that's fine. I kick out every AI. No, I don't think people have question actually. Yes,
Also, I just
everything
found it.
it's everything related to practice. So yeah, I don't know if someone asks question right now. I saw Sandra put a lot of tips regarding documentation. Yes, a few questions. So how did you go about deploying multiple contracts?
Yes, for sure. So also, I just kind of want to share this. I couldn't find it in the docs, but now I have it here because I was using it before. But basically, this is a Tailwind documentation. Let me actually share this here. So this is like for Flex, for example. So it kind of like shows you what you can do, like with the width, like aligning it. Like it gives you like, you can do like a class, like the width, for example, like let's change the width, like the width of one of the component we have over here, like this button. Let's see if that works. I go back to my pages, but just to kind of show how you can do that. Class name, button primary. I'm gonna make it like the width. Oops, did I have it wrong? I should just like, I think width 80, right? Is it correct? Yes, this should work, but I think this has some styling from before, so I need to like, yes. Oh, did I change the decrement? Yes, so this is the decrement. So I just changed the width over here. Let's actually make it 40 because I feel like 80 is too small, but you can use directly the components from Tailwind CSS, and I'll also make the width like 40 for this one. And then this kind of like allows you to update it, like edit it. You remember when I was trying to make it bold, but I couldn't figure out how. So this is where the documentation provides you. And let's actually like try to center it, for example, like let's do a center. So to center, place content center. Is that? I don't usually use place content. I think it should be like align content. Yes, content center. Is it content or items? I'm actually not sure, but we can just try it. So this is kind of the way I usually do like the front-end development. I think it's actually items, it's not content. Is this the increment button? Yes, we're at the correct place. Why am I not able to center? Let's see, is it? I'm pretty sure it's flex wrap actually, which is not going to be very nice. But this is essentially the idea of kind of going back and forth with, yes, okay, AI. I should have just asked AI. I think I'm doing maybe let's remove the previous button stuff. Okay. I know we have a little minutes left, but this is kind of the way which you go about it. I couldn't like figure out the last piece, but let me quickly answer the questions we have later, and then hopefully like this will somehow be solved. Well, I think about it in the background. Okay, we answered the deploying multiple contracts. So I'll quickly run through that. Basically, what we did was we came to our hard hat folder. It's under the packages, hard hat, contracts. I quickly created like a new contract counter.sol. You can call this whatever you want. You can say eda.sol, for example, or friday.sol. And then you go over here. I added my smart contract. Once you add your smart contract, you also need to update the deployment script because that is where the smart contract is actually deployed. So after doing this, I went into the deploy folder. I went over here to deploy your contracts. And then I took the same, which we have for your contract, await deploy. And then I added the same deployer, which is our hard hat account. And then it has no, like, you can see this is the code which I added. I added the deployer. I have no arguments, so I left this empty. These are just the settings which you can have with the await deploy, but I just left them for now as is. You can also just not have them. And then what I need to do afterwards was I need to redeploy with my, where is it? I went to my terminal and I ran yarn deploy. So sometimes I also recommend doing like your yarn deploy reset in case they're saved to your folder. But because I was like not redeploying the YAR contract and just adding a new contract, I went with yarn deploy. But a reset like resets all the saved folders. So it can be like easier when you do it. And that's kind of how I went about deploying multiple smart contracts. I know the recording will be available, so hopefully that will be helpful. I know this was like a running fast kind of speed run kind of workshop. And then which hooks connect to the front end with the blockchain? So you can directly use the Scaffoldly 2 hooks, but you might be like, these are not enough for me. Like I want like some other information. That's where you can directly go to WAGMI, and I will do that. So Scaffoldly, as I mentioned, uses WAGMI under the hood to work with Ethereum. So you can go over here and you can see. So I can search for used account, which was what we were doing. So this is exactly what we did, right? Like we took use account. So you can directly like do use account from here, or you can like, well, this is also what we did, but like you can get the balance. You can do like, you can get the config information, the NS address. So this is available for you, and this is what Scaffold uses as well. Oh, someone actually answered this, so I appreciate the answer there. How can we get the link for the meeting document? Okay, I think that is a question for Selena.
Yeah, so everything will be sent by email just 1 hour after the meeting, like the session.
Let me quickly stop sharing and answer the questions while we do that. Okay, some more questions we can quickly answer. Using Remix, I do not know the amount of gas a project or contract can take. How can I know the gas while using Scaffold? So I know that Foundry kind of displays it. Like when you run the command on your terminal, it actually like can display the gas usage. I know that we do for like the deployed, like we don't display the gas, but you can see like the deployed um, the deployed details of the contract. And you can see like the contract call on your other terminal, which runs the blockchain. But for gas usage, you can like use logs to print out the information, which I think can be helpful. Or you can also like estimate the gases, as you said, with like running on Remix, or like having like using Foundry, like you can kind of display it a lot better, especially if you run tests. Like you can print out the amount of gas which is going to be used when you deploy a certain function. So that can be helpful. So when we run the script yarn deploy, all this, so actually no, when you run yarn deploy, all the scripts, so actually, yes, like if it's in the same folder, yes, but if you like make a new deployment folder and you call it like deploy 02, then you also need to add that. But when you do a yarn deploy, it only runs like the 00 underscore yarn deploy folder under your deploy folder. So basically like you would need to add the information there, or if you create a new contract, like if you need create a new name, you also need to add that. Yes, you can definitely like deploy in other contracts, or you can say like they're not on the same folder. Like I have like a contract already deployed in another application. You can also pull that in. So it's completely up to you. Like this was a case where I just had like a smart contract and I added in the same deployment script, but you definitely don't need to do that. You just need to specify that you created like a new deployment script. And that's actually like, I can quickly show that. I know that we're slightly over time.
That's fine, no worries. Hey, mince. Sorry,
So I'll just
my
quickly
friend.
share this. Share. So what I did over here is in our deployment script, I just added it over here. So I added like an await deploy, but you can be like, I want to create like a new smart contract and I want to call it like 01 deploy, which is actually like better practice. Next, let's see where this is called because I'm not exactly sure. Okay. Okay, so that's the only place actually. Yeah, so you can definitely like create a new deployment folder and you can add it there as well. But in my case, I just added it here. So if I didn't add this, like it would not deploy the smart contract, but I need to define like every smart contract that I add over here. Now I lost the chat. I believe like if you be like, I want to add like a 01 deploy, you need to define it, but I'm not exactly sure where like, let's do yarn deploy. Okay, not here. I can get back on that too, but that's a really good question. So I can for sure check and like let you know. But for now, what we did was we edited to the same script. So we didn't like create a new script, but that's a really good question, which I will get back afterwards. And then I think a few more questions, like thank you for watching. Yes, so testnet tokens, I'm sure we can get them from other people. Unfortunately, I don't have many. Um, but I'm sure that Zach can be helpful with that. And then instead of adding, yes, so I will get back on the question. Marianella, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but that's a really good question. And yes, I thank you everyone for coming. I think any advice to create tech content, honestly, the way I kind of go about it is try things myself. And as you can see, there are errors which happen on the way, which is like totally okay because I feel like it's better than like having something fully ready and showing a video. So this is truly like the challenges I face daily. It's a lot of Googling, and kind of making stuff work. But yeah, I think it's more about just writing the difficulties you face and then sharing them. I think that's kind of my takeaway from like the tech sessions, which I kind of have done so far. Yeah, for sure. Thank you everyone for coming. And
Thank you.
I would
Yes.
highly suggest, I'm sure like Austin and Kevin already showed, but to go to speedrunethereum.com and to do the challenges over there. It uses Scaffolded as a base, so I think you're at a really good place to kind of start that. We also have a batches program. So once you complete Scaffolded, you can sign up for the batches program. It's like completely async free through Telegram, where you can just like deploy a few smart contracts, like work together with people on like a shared GitHub repo. So that's like a nice way to like do more collaborative work. But hope to see you guys at Build Guild. And yeah, I hope it was useful. Feel free to reach out any questions. I'll be adding like the questions we discussed to the Notion documentation. So you actually have it there. I believe that's shared as well. But yeah, I think this is all from me today. Any link to the program? Is that the program which I mentioned? Or I think, so all the links which I mentioned is actually in the Notion doc, but I'll also just send speedrun Ethereum here for ease of, oh, it didn't allow me to send because it's saying meeting group chat. Okay, perfect. Any idea for upcoming hackathon? Oh, for hackathons, I always have like a hard idea. So for example, for the last hackathon, I was actually also hacking. It was in Brussels, and we were building a Flappy Bird application that was working multi-chain. So one person can like pay for joining Flappy Bird on base, the other can pay on like Arbitrum one, let's say, and then you play together, and then the winner gets the fund on the chain they're on. So this was a bit like too ambitious for a hackathon project. We didn't get it to work a lot, but this was what we were doing. It was really fun. I think games are really nice to build. I generally like go to hackathons and I talk with a lot of people and then get the idea there. They're like it kind of came to us on the Friday of the hackathon where we're like, okay, like let's build a Flappy Bird application. I think hackathons are fun to experiment with technology. So if you have like a technology which you want to experiment with, you can go to them and you can ask, okay, like how can I work with like bridging, for example, in our case, we were trying to like solve the cross-chain part, or you can work with like different solutions. But yeah, I would highly suggest like talking to many people at hackathons, like seeing what you can build. The hackathon guides, which you can see, are helpful too. Like, especially like if you go to the ETH Global Hackathon guides, they kind of give you like an idea on what stuff you can build. But yeah, in my case, like I just go to a hackathon and then I see like what are the nice ideas to build, and then just yeah, this time it was a Flappy Bird application.
Really nice. Thank you for your workshops. So everyone really appreciated. Like a lot of great feedback inside the conversation, the chats. Someone want to go back to the same to you. So amazing. Thank you very much for your time and to the Budel Girl team in general as well. And yeah, we are staying in touch for future thing. And yeah, don't hesitate to ping Ada for anything. I think she will be open to just help you if needed.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. It was very nice. I appreciate all the feedback. And yeah, anytime, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye,
Have a good
everyone.
rest of the day, depending on where you're at. Okay, great.
Bye bye.